The house is a little bit like a conker. It's got this hard shell on the outside, and then internally it's much softer, much paler, contoured to reflect the pitch of the roof upstairs and in the main hall. When you get to the ground floor, it's grounded by this consistent sort of brick tile.
There's something about having built your own home, knowing that no matter what the weather looks like, I'm still going to think it's amazing.
Middle Avenue is in the heart of the Great Austins Conservation Area in Farnham. Principally, it's a hall house. It's a house that's oriented around a double height space, which connects all of the ground floor with the bedroom accommodation on the first floor. It's steeped in the history of the Surrey vernacular, the language of the estate, but also the broader region.
It needed to connect with the local conservation area, the architecture here, but then also combine that with something which was definitely modern and forward-looking and contemporary, and it's quite a difficult balance to achieve.
That obviously gives a number of technical challenges when you come to build a house, especially if you're trying to build to a very low energy standard. So we started thinking about constructing this as a kit house before working to understand how we might need to make this a more hybrid construction. So it is actually a very lightweight steel frame, then with a kind of a big duvet of insulation held together in a timber construction. The main materials for the house are a reasonably limited palette, principally the clay tile on the roof, and that's complementing the white render which surrounds the whole of the house. Even though it looks like a rendered masonry, when you see it in the context, it's actually all very lightweight. So this is fully breathable. And then most importantly for us was the hedge. It's a strange thing to mention maybe in terms of architecture, but it becomes such a strong architectural device. It bounds the whole of the site, and it provides you with a very clear datum of privacy, but also a clear datum to create a series of garden spaces within the plot, which then allowed us to effectively move the house like chess pieces around to ensure that those garden spaces became these really key rooms within the extended sort of footprint of the house. The house is obviously quite a large volume, and it has a number of hard surfaces, so to compensate for the acoustic impact of that, we added 2 large areas of acoustic treatment to the ceilings to absorb a lot of that sound.
I have bilateral hearing aids, and so this stops the sound bouncing around in the rooms which have the most conversation, and it really works well.
Tonally, it's matching the kind of similar tones to the floor, but it's a floating plane which conceals the lighting and the ventilation.
My favourite area is sitting at the dining room table so I can see everybody coming or going, whether they come through the front door or come down the steps. I think that maybe Niall had always known in his mind that he was architecting the house to be able to have us be able to follow the sun during the day, but when we moved in, that was a surprise for me.
It is a highly personal space. I think that some people are quite surprised at some of the finishes when they come around. There's nothing too shiny in the house. I think we've tried to keep it sort of simple and earthy and natural materials.
I think the concept of home for me is the comfort of familiarity. And it's a very difficult thing to achieve in a new build house. I think working with Ben & Clare has been very easy, mainly because they are design literate. So they came with a very good knowledge of architecture, design, furniture, you can see around us in the house. The completion of any project is a strange separation. Maybe it's a conscious uncoupling. That point where you've been holding this baby for a long time and it's nurturing it towards completion for somebody else, and then suddenly you're handing over the project, and in some instances the keys are handed over, the door is shut and you never speak again. In this instance there's been a very different conversation because I think we've built an empathetic relationship with the client. When they speak about the project, they've taken ownership of the design and the journey that we've been on together, and that's a huge privilege. And that's probably the greatest success of the project for us.
I didn't want it to be fashionable, but you can't avoid that completely. And I think that hopefully we've done a good job on that, and it will stand the test of time.
If I think about how it's changed my life, it's made me think that this will be my forever home, and when I think through my life, I've lived in so many different places, and I feel like I'm now like a barnacle on a rock. You would have to lever me out of this place now. I'm not going anywhere.